So as we are learning, everybody is learning about this path of plant medicines, I strongly urge people to go slow. I slung I strongly urge you um to learn more and to not only from firstly, I think of your personal relationship with whatever medicine you're serving and having enough hours with that medicine to understand how that medicine works. Because we can talk about it, we can have, six or seven or 10 or a dozen sessions, but that's not enough of a relationship with that primary medicine. And I can't say that enough for what that looks like. I think there's certain skills that we can learn through educational models that are really important, frameworks, uh, and there are certain things that we can learn from a therapeutic model that are important, and also from a ceremonial piece that are important. And I think the trickiest thing is with ceremonies or with communities who have sort of ceremonial practices. How do you come in to be in that without being another, like, oh, I'm going to learn this and then I'm going to capitalize on that? Because that's what happens. And so people are very extremely reluctant to share. Or I see people who are sharing, from communities who I'm like, oh, this is problematic, because of lineages and because of where it comes from and how that is held, because there's a market for it, Um, like I think of people are like, oh, Kim, you're really spiritual. Like, and I'm like, who are you? Just because I'm indigenous, you're saying that? Like, it's just so wrong, and those sort of things where I know people are well meaning, but I think about this is really important. So when I talked about before around moving from settler reflexivity into ethical actions and solidarity, it's like, how do we, from a ceremonial perspective model, there's an apprenticeship model, and it's different than going and taking a class or going to school in that way. It's a place in which I think is important because the apprenticeship model is a place where we learn reciprocity. I have obligation to my teacher and to the family lineages that comes from. I think that's really important. I also have an accountability model because as I'm doing my work, I have somebody who is constantly mentoring me because actually I don't know. They have like 30 years more experience than I do. So I'm going to go to them, and I'm going to go to the teachers when I get to sit in communities and learn from and hopefully be humble enough to honor those teachings and to be able to honor the medicine and how it is here to serve, not to serve, to teach us different. I really want to be on that piece. And so when I look at these pieces, I think it's really important as we're walking together in a new path with something that is way powerful, you know, and that we walk with humility. I see a lot of people who are having mystical experiences and then they're capitalizing on it. And I'm like, this is so problematic. You can take a 5-hour course and you can become a psychedelic therapist. This is a bit of a problem, and I think of those things. Recently, I had a good fortune of somebody who's been doing hospice work for 30 years, you know, who took a course, 8-week course or 8-month course. I'm not quite sure what their model is. And she said, who am I to be serving a medicine that doesn't come, like, I don't know anything about this medicine, but now I'm qualified. And she said, we don't come from a apprenticeship model. And she had it was so beautiful because she's one of the first people that I've ever heard, who from a Western medical model who said, I need to be apprenticed. Like I need that sort of mentorship model in going forward because I don't really know anything and I don't have enough experience with the medicine now. So first time I've heard somebody say that, and I was like, that is so important. And I think when we're looking across different communities, across cultural communities, what does that look like? You know, how does that happen for South Indian people? Like, I don't know what an urban, South Indian male needs. I don't contextually, I don't have that. Or I don't know what sort of a person from sub-Sahara Africa needs, and culturally I have a lot of learning to do if I'm going to be working with different cultures. I know what I carry and can hold, but we need to do our homework in regards to how is it that we can be together on such a beautiful journey. And I think that's an important piece. We don't have that. We know that, from a Western model, especially research model, things need to be categorized and, quantified and measured, and it's just like, yeah, but he not just plant medicine, but a lot of the medicine, it's not a quantitative thing, and that's the part where I think is really important, that we slow it down to be like, what does this look like, and am I the right person to be doing this? Because oftentimes we just take those positions because it's like, yeah, well, I've been offered this, and it's like, check yourself, because it's really important. It's like, actually, there's probably a better person who, should be doing that work, and it's not me. So I think about that. I'm on a mission for training Indigenous people to work with Indigenous people, because I think it's really important that is, there's a power in that, of a balance of power that is really important. And I know that some people are like, oh no, I need a doctor to go to do this, or I need you know whatever that is. And I think it's an interesting condition that we have. So how do we hold the space to work in collaboration, maybe, or to stand aside and to open the door for other people to be able to do that work, and understand and listen to when you need to slow it and be like, oh, hang on a second, we need to open the space for someone else.